She survived a lifetime without kneeling to fear, to power, or to men who believed dominance was destiny. But one night in Seoul, beneath neon lights and buried secrets, her defiance collided with a world that doesn't forgive strength. This is a story about control and choice, about monsters who rule the shadows, and the woman who dared to look one of them in the eye and refused to break. Every decision here has a price. Every truth cuts deeper than a lie. And by the end, someone will disappear forever. So sit back, lock in. And if you don't want to miss what happens next, subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications, because once this story starts, there's no bowing out.
The knife missed my throat by less than an inch. I felt the wind of it, cold, fast, slice past my skin and bury itself in the wooden table beside my hand. The room went silent. Too silent. The kind of quiet that means everyone is watching to see what happens next. I didn't scream. I didn't move. I looked up slowly and met his eyes. Kang Jae-hyun didn't flinch either. The man who'd thrown the knife stood frozen, his face pale, eyes darting between me and Jae-hyun like a trapped animal. Sweat beaded at his temples. I thought she was reaching for a weapon, the man stammered in Korean. Jae-hyun didn't raise his voice. He didn't even stand. You thought, he said calmly, without permission. The man dropped to his knees. No apology. No defense. Just fear. I sat back in my chair, heart pounding so hard it felt like it might crack my ribs open, and only then did I notice my hand, still resting calmly on the table, fingers relaxed, like I hadn't just almost died. Jae-hyun looked at me, finally. Really looked at me. Not impressed. Not amused. Calculating. Welcome to Seoul, Evelyn Carter, he said in smooth English. Let's start again. 1 hour earlier. I'd spent 45 years of my life without bowing to any man. 3 marriages. 3 divorces. Each husband had tried in his own way, money, charm, intimidation. All of them failed. I learned early that the moment you kneel, people start measuring how easy you'll be to push again. So when my contact told me tonight's meeting required absolute discretion, I assumed it was just another wealthy collector playing shadow games. I didn't expect a place that didn't exist. Seoul's underground wasn't listed on any map. No signage. No valet. No hostess desk. Just a steel door beneath a forgotten alley, guarded by a man who scanned my face, not my ID, then stepped aside without a word. That should have been my first clue. The restaurant was all red lanterns and low ceilings, smoke curling like secrets. Quiet conversations in Korean murmured through the air, but every laugh felt restrained, unnecessary, controlled. Power lived here. You could taste it. They escorted me to the corner table. That's where he was already sitting. Kang Jae-hyun. Black suit. No tie. Sharp jaw, smooth skin, eyes so dark they swallowed light. He looked too young to own a place like this, too relaxed to be dangerous. And yet, as I approached, every conversation within 10 feet of us died. Not turned down. Stopped. He stood as I reached the table. Polite. Old-fashioned. Disarming. Ms. Carter, he said. Thank you for coming. I didn't have much choice, I replied. A small smile touched his lips. No. You didn't. We sat. Wine appeared without either of us ordering. The staff moved like ghosts, fast, quiet, eyes down. No one lingered near our table. Jae-hyun didn't stare at my body the way most men did. He watched my hands. My breathing. The way my eyes scanned the room. You're not like the other Americans who come here, he said. And you're not like the other Korean men who've tried to impress me. Tried, he repeated softly. And failed. Obviously. That made him smile for real. A waiter set down our food, hands trembling just slightly. Jae-hyun didn't look at him. You may go, he said. The man practically fled. I leaned back. Do your employees always look terrified, or is that just for show? The restaurant was all red lanterns and low ceilings, smoke curling like secrets. Quiet conversations in Korean murmured through the air, but every laugh felt restrained, unnecessary, controlled. They're afraid of disappointing me. Same thing. He lifted his glass. Tell me, Ms. Carter. Why are you really here? I took a slow sip of wine. Business. I don't mix business and dinner. You will tonight. There it was. Not a threat. A statement. The hairs on my arms prickled. I like confident women, he continued. They taste better when they break. The words slid across the table and crawled up my spine. I didn't look away. I don't break, I said. Ask my 3 ex-husbands. Dead or divorced? Does it matter? Not really. Something passed between us then, recognition, maybe. Or challenge. I felt it in my chest, a tight, dangerous thrill I hadn't felt in years. We ate in silence for a few minutes. Not uncomfortable silence, loaded silence. The kind where every bite becomes deliberate, every movement observed. Finally, he spoke again. The Joseon dynasty scroll you're looking for, he said casually. I have it. I kept my face neutral, but my pulse jumped. Your price? Dinner first. I already said. You're already paying, he interrupted, eyes locking onto mine. You just don't realize it yet. I set down my fork. If you're trying to intimidate me, I don't need to try. The temperature dropped. I swear it did. The room felt heavier, the air thicker. His phone buzzed. He glanced at it once. Something flickered across his face. Cold. There's a room upstairs, he said, standing. The scroll is there. Along with something else. I stayed seated. I'm not going anywhere private with you. Yes, you are. Again, not a command. A fact. Every instinct I had screamed to leave. To walk out and never look back. Instead, I stood. As we walked, I noticed something that made my stomach tighten. The exits. The steel door at the back of the restaurant, locked. The side corridor, blocked. Even the kitchen doors were closed now. I glanced at the staff. No one met my eyes. They all knew. My chest tightened. He wasn't a dealer. He was the center of gravity. We reached the top of the stairs. The room he led me into was simple, traditional furnishings, clean lines. On the table sat a wrapped package. The scroll. Beside it, a thin folder. He closed the door behind us. Locked it. Open the folder first, he said. I didn't agree. You did the moment you walked in. I swallowed and opened it. Photographs spilled out. Me outside my apartment in Atlanta. At my gym. At my favorite coffee shop on Peachtree Street. Recent. Last week. My blood turned to ice. What is this? Insurance. I looked up at him. He was close now, too close. His cologne hit me, expensive and sharp, like something dangerous you shouldn't inhale too deeply. You're not just here for a scroll, Evelyn, he said quietly. Someone sent you to test me. Nobody sent me. He raised an eyebrow. Don't lie. You're bad at it when you're scared. I'm not scared. Then why is your heart racing? I hated that he noticed. Seo Min-suk, he continued. Your client. He's been trying to move into my territory for 6 months. Using Americans like you as bait. The floor felt unsteady beneath my feet. I didn't know. I know, he said. That's why you're still breathing. His fingers lifted, brushing a curl from my face. Gentle. Almost intimate. Terrifying. You're not here by accident, he said. The word settled heavy in my chest. I realized then, this dinner, the knife, the exits, it had all been designed to test one thing. Whether I would bow. And for the first time in 45 years. I wasn't sure I could afford not to. The door shut behind me with a soft click. Too soft. That sound stayed with me longer than the knife had. The knife was honest, fast, obvious. This was different. This was a lid settling into place. I turned around slowly. The room upstairs didn't look like a torture chamber. That was the first lie. It was clean. Minimal. Korean wooden floors that gleamed softly under low amber lighting. A single table. 2 chairs. One wall lined with framed calligraphy scrolls, antiques, I knew instantly. Real ones. Not fakes. Worth more than most people would earn in a lifetime. On the table sat the package. The Joseon Dynasty scroll. Beside it, a laptop. Closed. Jae-hyun moved past me and poured tea into 2 porcelain cups like we were old friends catching up. Sit, he said. I didn't. I'm not signing anything, I said. And I'm not staying long. He didn't even look up. You already stayed too long. That made something cold settle in my stomach. I sat. Atlanta suits you, he said casually, turning the laptop screen toward me. It lit up. My apartment building. A frozen frame of me stepping out, sunglasses on, coffee in hand. Time-stamped. Geographic coordinates in the corner. I stared at it too long. How long? I asked. Long enough. Another click. Me at my gym. Another. At my favorite cafe. Another. Me laughing with a woman I hadn't spoken to since college. Another. Me asleep on my couch, shot through my window. My breath caught. That one was invasive, he said mildly. I told my people not to use it. They did anyway. I looked up sharply. Your people? Now he looked at me. Evelyn, he said softly, you still think I buy and sell history. My throat went dry. I don't run artifacts, he continued. I manage narratives. Governments. Markets. Reputations. History is just another weapon. I clenched my jaw. You're surveilling an American citizen. You're not a citizen when money moves faster than borders. I stood abruptly. This meeting is over. The door didn't open when I tried it. I didn't turn around. You locked it, I said. You were sent, Jae-hyun said behind me. Not to steal from me. To provoke me. I went looking for a scroll. You went looking for a reaction. I turned, fury burning through the fear. I don't work like that. A name appeared on the screen. Seo Min-suk. South Korean. Private dealer. Consultant. My client. Or so I'd thought. He wanted to know if I was real, Jae-hyun said. If the stories were exaggerated. If Kang Jae-hyun was just another dinosaur hiding behind tradition. He leaned forward. So he sent you. I've worked with Seo for 5 years, I snapped. I authenticated pieces for him. Clean work. Reputable collections. Jae-hyun tilted his head. Did you? The screen changed again. Side-by-side comparison. An artifact I had authenticated 6 years ago. And another. Identical. Down to the aging cracks. That's impossible, I whispered. Is it? My heart started racing, hard enough that I could hear it. These were certified by you, he said. Exported. Sold. Donated to museums in Switzerland. Singapore. New York. That's forgery, I said. I'd have caught that. You didn't. I laughed once, sharp and brittle. Then your information is wrong. He tapped the table twice. The final file opened. A video. I recognized the room instantly. My office. I watched myself on screen examining an artifact, nodding, signing paperwork. Time code. High resolution. No edits. My voice echoed faintly from the speakers. Authentic. Period correct materials. No modern interference. My hand started shaking. That's not. My voice cracked. That's not possible. You authenticated it, Jae-hyun said quietly. And it was fake. I don't counterfeit, I said, more to myself than him. I built my career on not being wrong. Then someone rebuilt it for you. He slid another document across the table. Financial records. Shell companies. Payments routed through consulting fees. Small amounts. Clean amounts. I recognized the accounts. Mine. I didn't take bribes, I whispered. You didn't know you were. That hit harder than any accusation. He stood and circled the table slowly. Seo Min-suk specialized in one thing, he said. Weaponizing trust. He didn't forge everything. Just enough. And he needed legitimate fingerprints. He stopped behind me. Yours. I swallowed hard. If this were true, why wait? Because crimes expire, he said. Reputations don't. I pushed back from the table. Then call the authorities. He laughed. Actually laughed. International crime statutes appeared on the screen. Smuggling. Authentication fraud. Money laundering facilitation. Sentences stacked like gravestones. You're the perfect fall, he said calmly. American. Female. Independent consultant. No official immunity. My chest felt hollow. What do you want? I asked. Finally. That, he said, pleased, is the correct cue. Even if you wanted to fight this, he continued, there's a problem. He clicked again. Another video. I leaned in unwillingly. It was old. Grainy. Me in Hong Kong. 7 years ago. A rushed authentication at an auction house. I remembered that day. Jet lag. Pressure. You authenticated a forged artifact there too, he said. That's impossible, 2 weeks later, it funded weapons purchases. My stomach flipped. No, I breathed. I don't fund wars. You didn't know, he said. That's what makes it elegant. I sank into the chair, legally guilty. Morally ignorant, completely trapped. You didn't break the law intentionally, he said softly. Which means you'll try to explain. Courts hate explanations. I looked up at him, something breaking behind my ribs. You set this up. I discovered it, he corrected. And you walked into it. Silence stretched between us, thick and suffoca. Finally, I whispered, so what now? His phone buzzed again. He checked it, face unreadable. Now, he said, you decide who owns your future. He slid the Josian scroll toward me. Authenticate this, he said. I stared at it. That's real. Yes. And if I refuse? He met my eyes. Then tomorrow, your name becomes synonymous with international trafficking. Anger surged through my fear. You're blackmailing me. He shook his head slightly. I'm recruiting you. I laughed, bitter. Why me? Because you don't bow, he said. And people like you are dangerous when cornered. The door unlocked behind me with a click. You may leave, he said calmly. Tonight. I stood slowly, heart pounding. And if I walk out? He smiled. Then we begin. I reached for the door. Paused. Looked back at the man who now held every version of my life in his hands. And for the first time I wondered if the trap had closed around me. Or if I had just stepped into something much bigger than both of us. I didn't walk out. That realization settled in my chest before I even turned around. My hand was still on the door handle, cold metal biting into my palm, when I heard his voice again. Stay. Not loud. Not urgent. Certain. I closed my eyes for a second longer than necessary, then let go of the handle. When I turned back, Kang Jae-hyun hadn't moved. Same spot. Same posture. As if he already knew. You said I could leave, I said. I said you may, he replied. Not that you should. I crossed the room slowly, my heels sounding too loud in the silence. You've made your point, I said. Prison. Ruin. You win. That's not the point. Then enlighten me. He studied me for a long moment, like a man deciding how much of a blade to expose. You're not my prisoner, he said finally. You're my shield. I laughed. Real laughter this time. Sharp. Unsteady. You're insane. Am I? He stepped closer, lowering his voice. Someone is coming to kill me. The words landed without drama. That was what scared me. I searched his face for performance. For manipulation. For fear. Found none. You don't look worried, I said. I don't panic, he replied. I prepare. Who? I demanded. He hesitated. That was new. Someone I buried without a grave, he said. Someone who believes I exist only to be erased. A chill moved through me. You want me involved in a vendetta? I want you visible, he corrected. Vulnerable. Human. I shook my head. You don't do weaknesses. I manufacture them. The words made my stomach knot. You want bait? Yes. I stared at him. And you think I'll help you fake a soft spot? I think you already are one. Anger flared. Don't flatter yourself. He reached into his pocket and placed his phone on the table. Screen face down. You represent everything I don't, he said quietly. Reputation. Legitimacy. A moral spine people can recognize. You just destroyed mine. To everyone who matters, he said. You're still clean. I swallowed. That's not true. Then why haven't I sent it yet? The phone stayed dark. You want me close so someone can try to hurt you through me, I said slowly. Yes. And if they fail? They reveal themselves. Or they kill me, I shot back. He didn't deny it. I've risked many things, he said. I don't risk what I can't afford to lose. That's comforting. You misunderstand, he added. I can afford to lose you. My chest tightened. Then why ask? Because if I force you, he said, you'll sabotage me. That took the air out of my lungs. You don't want obedience, I said. You want participation. Consent, he corrected calmly. Obtained under truth. I stared at him. You don't do truth. I do, he said. Once. Completely. No mercy. No, I said. The word came out steady. I'm not playing house with a target on your back. I picked up my purse. You're already dead, I continued. You just refused to lie down. I stepped past him. He didn't stop me. That's when my phone vibrated. Once. Twice. Unknown number. I ignored it. Then a message appeared on the lock screen. Mother, paid care facility, medical alert. My heart stuttered. I froze. Jae-hyun spoke softly behind me. You didn't tell me about her. I turned slowly. You said this wasn't personal. It wasn't, he replied. Until you refused. That did it. That cracked something open. You said no mercy, I whispered. Yes. I glared at him. You're threatening my mother. I'm demonstrating scope. I rushed to my phone and opened the alert. Routine check. Cleared. But underneath it, another image. My mother seated by a window. Taken hours ago. Alive. Unharmed. And watched. My hand shook. If anything happens to her? Won't, he said. If you don't make this personal again. It was already personal. I felt sick. You promised truth, I said hoarsely. Start now. He nodded once. Prison was the warning, he said. Death is the reminder. And permanent disappearance? That's the solution if you disappoint me. I stared at him. You erase people. I correct records. The words echoed. You're not saving yourself, I said. You're inviting destruction. I'm controlling where it lands. I pressed my palms flat against the table, grounding myself. You want me close, I said, thinking out loud now. Public. Seen. So whoever's hunting you takes the bait. Yes. And if I disappear? They'll know I lied, he said. And they'll come faster. I looked up at him. So I keep you alive by staying alive. Exactly. Silence engulfed us. And in return? I asked. He met my eyes fully now. Absolute truth, he said. Everything I know. All names. All ghosts. And after? 1 month. I blinked. What? 1 month of visibility, he clarified. Public association. After that, you walk. And the evidence? Gone. I studied his face. Why not lie? Because you'd sense it, he said. You already do. For the first time, I saw something like respect flicker there. Who's coming for you? I asked again. His jaw tightened. A woman, he said. That surprised me. She was supposed to replace me, he continued. I dismantled her empire instead. Her name? He hesitated. Then spoke. Yoon Hae-in. Something about the way he said it told me everything. Past. Intimate. Bloody. You loved her, I said. I underestimated her, he corrected. That was worse. I walked back to the chair but didn't sit. You want me to be your visible weakness, I said. Your proof of humanity. Yes. And if I say yes? I asked. No hidden clauses? None. I exhaled slowly. I set limits. He nodded once. 1 month, I said firmly. Public only. No private isolation like this. Agreed. No surveillance on my family. Done. No crimes in my name. A pause. No new ones, he said. I grimaced. That wasn't funny. It wasn't a joke. I closed my eyes briefly, then opened them. 1 month, I repeated. After that, I walk. Clean. He extended his hand. I looked at it for a long moment. Then shook it. His grip was firm. Controlled. Sealed. As he released my hand, he said quietly. You should know something. I met his gaze. Agreeing doesn't make you safe, he continued. It makes you visible. I swallowed. Then we're clear. Yes. I turned toward the door again, but this time I knew I wasn't leaving. I was stepping into something designed to destroy who I'd been. 1 month. That was the limit. And somehow, deep down, I suspected that if I survived it, I wouldn't be walking out the same. The rain had stopped hours ago, but the city was still wet, silver reflections sliding down the glass as I stood at the window of Jae-hyun's penthouse. Seoul shimmered beneath me like a neon dream stretched thin over steel and secrets. I'd been here 3 days. 3 days in a world that didn't match anything I thought I knew. And in all that time, Jae-hyun had made one thing painfully clear. Silence is where monsters breathe. The penthouse was too quiet. Too open. No guards, no cameras, no guns casually displayed, nothing that matched the man I'd seen at that table in the underground restaurant. Which meant, of course, that the real danger was everywhere. The elevator door hummed. I didn't turn around. His footsteps were soft, but the smell hit first, iron, sharp, unmistakable. Blood. Still thinking too loudly, Jae-hyun said behind me. I exhaled slowly. You disappear for 6 hours and come back smelling like murder. Forgive me for letting my thoughts wander. He walked past me, straight to the small bar cart made of glass and shadows. He poured himself a drink. His sleeves were rolled up, and on the cuff of his shirt, I saw smeared red, like someone had dragged bleeding fingers across him. He caught my stare. It's not mine, he said. As if that makes it better. He handed me a glass. His fingers brushed mine, cold, controlled, intentional. You wanted truth, Evelyn. Truth is never clean. I turned toward the city again. You said I'd be playing your weakness. But no one has seen us together since the restaurant. Oh, they've seen, he murmured. 3 organizations have already reported back to their bosses. They believe I'm distracted by an American woman with sharp eyes and sharper instincts. I blinked. How do you know what they're reporting? Because I own people in all 3 organizations. It shouldn't have surprised me. It did anyway. A quiet settled between us, the kind that wasn't peace, but suspension. The kind that waits for something to break. Tell me something real, I said. I didn't know why. I hated that I wanted more from him than strategy and threats. Something you've never told anyone. Jae-hyun didn't answer at first. He went very still, staring into the amber liquid in his glass as though it contained ghosts. My past, he said finally, is filled with graves. Some I dug. Some I deserved. His jaw tightened. Han Mireille, my ex-fiancée, was pregnant when I killed her brother. The words punched the air out of me. She lost the child, he continued. 2 weeks later. My throat tightened. Something ugly twisted inside me, sympathy or horror or recognition. Maybe all 3. And you think her wanting you dead is justified? I asked. He didn't hesitate. I think monsters make monsters. A soft, bitter laugh escaped me. You talk like you hate what you are. He looked up, eyes darker than the city outside. I do. And something inside me shifted. The truth is dangerous because it humanizes the monster. And human monsters are harder to walk away from. He stepped closer. You asked for truth. Now it's your turn. I swallowed. Hard. There were things I never planned to say aloud again. I had a daughter, I whispered. His expression didn't change, but something behind it did. She was 3 days old. I was broke. Alone. Terrified. I gave her up for adoption and told myself it was the one selfless thing I'd ever done. Sometimes I believe that. Most days. I don't. Jae-hyun's voice was quiet. Does she know you exist? No. Would you want her to? I stared at my reflection in the window, the face of a woman who'd run from her past for far too long. I don't know, I said. Everything I touch breaks. I won't let her be another thing I ruin. Silence again. This time softer. When he finally spoke, his voice wasn't a weapon. It wasn't even a warning. Evelyn, monsters don't get redemption arcs. But we get choices. For the first time since landing in Seoul, my chest didn't feel hollow. It felt heavy, alive, but no longer empty. It was the first moment of genuine vulnerability between us. 2 broken people standing in a tower of glass, pretending we didn't see the cracks. The next morning I ignored the note he left on my pillow. Stay inside. don't answer the door. I needed air that didn't smell like danger, or his cologne. The cafe 3 blocks away was quiet, warm, normal. I'd just wrapped my hands around a mug when a shadow fell over my table. Evelyn Carter? The woman who sat down looked like she'd stepped out of a fashion magazine, early 30s, perfectly pressed clothes, hair smooth enough to shame silk. I stiffened. Do I know you? No, she said, smiling the way predators smile before they pounce. But I know Jae-hyun. Every instinct in me screamed. I slid my hand toward my purse, toward the knife he'd given me. She lifted her hand in a calm gesture. Relax. If I wanted you dead, you wouldn't have seen me sit down. Try me. My voice sounded stronger than I felt. Her eyes softened, but not in a kind way. More like a surgeon adopting bedside manner. My name is Han Mire. My blood iced. He told you about me, didn't he? She asked. About the baby? About my brother? My throat went dry. He said you tried to poison him. She smirked. And you believed him? I didn't answer. Mire leaned in, lowering her voice. Let me tell you how this really ends. He destroys every woman who gets close to him. She pulled out her phone and slid it across the table. Photos. 6 women. Different ages, different nationalities. All dead. These, she whispered, were his previous weaknesses. A cold fist wrapped around my spine. She placed a business card next to my coffee. You want to survive this? Mire said softly. Help me kill him. I forced my voice to stay steady. Why give me a choice? Because I needed to see what kind of woman he chose this time. Her smile vanished. You have 24 hours. She walked away. I sat there frozen, trapped between 2 monsters and one impossible truth. Because deep down, part of me already knew. Someone was lying. I just hadn't figured out who yet. The elevator doors slid open with a soft chime, too soft, too normal for what Evelyn Carter walked into. The penthouse door was ajar. A wrongness hung in the air like smoke. The moment she stepped inside, the scent hit her first, metallic, sharp, unmistakable. Blood. Fresh blood. Her pulse spiked. Jae-hyun. Her voice trembled despite the steel she tried to force into it. No answer. She moved forward, her heels clicking against the marble until she froze. A smear of crimson dragged across the white floor like someone had been pulled. A body slumped near the hallway wall, face swollen, teeth missing, wrists tied behind his back with industrial zip ties. Seo Min-suk. Alive, barely. But her eyes didn't stop on him, not when she saw Jae-hyun, standing in the center of the living room, shirt soaked in blood, knuckles dripping, chest rising and falling with controlled fury. He looked like a storm that had learned to walk. His eyes lifted to her, dark, unreadable, something violent simmering behind them. You weren't supposed to be back yet, he said quietly. Her throat tightened. What did you do? Jae-hyun wiped his hands on a towel that was already stained red. What I had to. Evelyn stared at Seo Min-suk. The man who had hired her. The man who pretended to be her ally. Now ruined. Broken. Talk. Jae-hyun kicked the chair Seo Min-suk was tied to. Hard. Min-suk gasped, coughing blood. I told you everything. I told you everything. Jae-hyun didn't look at him. His eyes never left Evelyn. He has something to tell you, he said. Evelyn swallowed. Tell me what? Min-suk laughed, wet, bloody, hysterical. There was never a scroll, Evelyn. No artifact. No client. The room spun. You liar, she whispered. It was a contract, Min-suk rasped. On him. You were supposed to get close. Find his patterns. His exits. His tells. I'd send in the real team after. Evelyn staggered backward, gripping the table for balance. You used me. We all use each other, sweetheart, Minsuk coughed. That's the business. I just played better. Jae-hyun's jaw tensed, but he said nothing. Minsuk's eye shifted toward him. And him? Don't pretend he's different. Ask him about the others. The other women. His weaknesses. Ask how many before you. Evelyn turned to Jae-hyun, gut twisting. Is it true? A long pause. Then. Yes. The honesty cut deeper than any lie could have. I used them, Jae-hyun said quietly. The same way I used you. I needed bait. They volunteered. They stayed because they wanted to. Wanted what? Evelyn snapped, tears burning her eyes. To die for you? No, his voice was low, steady. To matter. To stop pretending they were good people. Her breath caught. You think that's me? I know it is. The worst part? She felt it too. Minsuk watched with a sick grin. See? He's making you into one of them already. Evelyn's hands trembled as she reached for the gun on the table. Her fingers wrapped around the cold metal. Jae-hyun didn't flinch. Evelyn, he said softly, if you were going to shoot me, you would have done it weeks ago. Her voice cracked. You don't know me. I know you better than you want me to. Silence choked the air. Minsuk spat blood. Shoot him, Evelyn. Before he uses you up like the others. Jae-hyun took a step toward her. She raised the gun, hands shaking, vision blurring. Seconds stretched, her heart pounded. I'm not choosing you, she whispered. I know. I'm choosing the truth. Jae-hyun's eyes softened, barely, but enough. And what is the truth? She inhaled sharply. That I've been running my whole life. From who I was. From what I am. From the darkness that feels too familiar. The gun lowered to her side. I'm not staying because I trust you, she said. I'm staying because I'm done lying to myself. A slow, inevitable smile curved Jae-hyun's lips. Good, he murmured. Then we can begin. Minsuk screamed through blood. Minsuk screamed through bloodied teeth. You're insane, both of you. Neither of them looked at him. Because the choice had already been made. And Evelyn Carter. The woman who never bowed. Just bowed to the devil by choice. Crystal chandeliers scattered light across silk gowns and tailored suits, turning power into something beautiful enough to forget it was deadly. I stepped inside and felt every eye, every hidden calculation, snap toward me. Red was Jae-hyun's choice. Easy to spot, he'd said earlier, fastening the clasp behind my neck. Easy to remember. Easy to miss when you're gone. I hated how calm his voice had been. Now, as I walked alone across marble floors, I understood why. Red wasn't just a color tonight. It was an invitation. I felt it, the weight on my back, the invisible pressure of crosshairs settling between my shoulders. Somewhere above us, someone was already breathing slow, finger resting against metal. I lifted my chin anyway. If I was going to die, I refused to shrink first. Across the room, Jae-hyun stood beside a foreign minister, smiling politely, glass raised. He didn't look at me. That was the performance. Strangers. No connection. No concern. But I knew him now. I knew the tension in his jaw meant he was counting exits. I knew the slight shift of his shoulders meant he'd clocked the sniper's likely angle. I knew he was terrified, and furious, that I was here. My phone vibrated once in my clutch. Unknown, roof. North access. Come alone. I didn't respond. Instead, I let my gaze drift casually toward Jae-hyun. Just long enough. His eyes met mine. A warning flashed there. A plea and something else. Trust. I turned away. The stairwell was cold concrete and echoing silence. Each step sounded too loud, too final. My heels clicked like a countdown. I reached the roof door. It was already open. Wind slammed into me, carrying the smell of rain and the distant hum of the city. Seoul stretched beneath us, brilliant, indifferent, endless. She stood at the edge. Han Mirai. Her silhouette was sharp against the lights, hair pulled back, posture relaxed. A woman completely at peace with violence. You came, she said, without turning. I didn't have a choice, I replied. She smiled. Everyone does. They just pretend they don't. She turned then. Up close, she was younger than I expected. Early 30s. Expensive coat. Calm eyes that had already accepted blood as a language. Is he downstairs? She asked. Yes. Good. She lifted her hand. The gun was small. Efficient. My pulse roared in my ears. If you're here to kill him, I said, you'll have to go through me. Mirai studied my face. Then she laughed, soft, almost fond. Oh, Evelyn. I'm not here to kill you. Something tightened in my chest. Then why show me those photos? Her smile faded. Because I needed to know what kind of woman he chose this time. My stomach dropped. This time? She stepped closer. I told you I lost people because of him. That part was true. I just edited the details. You lied. Yes. My breath came shallow. Why? To test you. The wind whipped between us. I needed to know if you'd run, Mirai continued, or if you'd stay. If you'd hate him, or recognize him. I shook my head. You said he destroys women. He does, she said calmly. The ones who lie to themselves. My heart slammed hard. And the photos? Fabricated, she admitted. No dead lovers. No trail of bodies. Relief surged, then died instantly. But that doesn't make him innocent. I opened my mouth. The roof door burst open. Evelyn. Jae-hyun froze. The gun in his hand wasn't pointed at Mirai. It was pointed behind her. I turned. Seo Min-suk stood near the ledge, bruised, grinning, holding a black detonator. Surprise, he said. The world narrowed to that device. I've wired the ballroom, Seo continued lightly. 5 seconds. Politicians, donors, press. A massacre that'll rewrite headlines. Mirai's face hardened. You said this was about him. It is, Seo replied. His death. Preferably public. Jae-hyun's voice was ice. You're bluffing. Seo clicked the button once. Nothing happened. Warning, he said cheerfully. Next one's real. I felt Jae-hyun's fear before I saw it. Not for himself. For me. Put it down, I said. Seo laughed. You think you matter? I didn't think. I ran. The moment stretched, gunshots cracking, Mirai shouting my name, Jae-hyun roaring something I'd never heard before. I hit Seo full force. The detonator flew from his hand. Mirai dove. Time exploded into sound and Lee. When I woke, everything hurt. Machines beeped. White ceiling swam in and out of focus. A hand tightened around mine. Don't move, Jae-hyun said hoarsely. You're alive. That's enough. I swallowed. What happened? You tackled him, he said. Min-suk went over the edge. Dead on impact. Mirai caught the detonator, disabled it. My chest ached. And her? He looked away. Gone. I exhaled shakily. Figures. He leaned closer. His eyes were red. I thought I lost you, he said. For a monster, I whispered, you don't hide that well. A broken laugh escaped him. I don't want to anymore. I studied his face, the blood, the scars, the weight of everything he was. I stayed, I said, not because I love you. I know. But because I refuse to lie to myself. He nodded once. Then we're the same. Outside the window, Seoul burned with light. Somewhere in that city, Han Miri was watching. Waiting. And I knew. This wasn't the end. It was the beginning of something far more dangerous. The note was waiting on the bed when Evelyn returned to the penthouse. Not hidden. Not dramatic. Just a plain white card placed carefully on her pillow, like an apology. 3 words. She's in Portland. Evelyn's knees buckled before her mind could catch up. She grabbed the edge of the bed, fingers digging into the sheets as if they could anchor her to the room, to reality. Jae-hyun appeared behind her without a sound. What is it? He asked. She held the card out with a shaking hand. He read it once. Then again. His jaw tightened, the calm mask cracking just enough for something lethal to leak through. They know, he said quietly. No, Evelyn whispered. She doesn't exist. She can't. I erased myself. I buried every trail. Mireille found what you buried, Jae-hyun replied. She always does. Evelyn turned on him, panic blazing through the composure she'd fought to maintain for months. She's not part of this. She never was. You promised me. I promised to tell you the truth, he cut in. And the truth is this was always the endgame. The moment someone realized how to hurt me permanently, they'd come for you. And the moment they realized how to destroy you, they'd come for her. Evelyn pressed a hand to her mouth. Images flooded her mind, tiny fingers wrapped around hers, a hospital room that smelled of antiseptic and regret, a face she'd memorized for 3 days and then forced herself to forget. She's a nurse, Evelyn said hoarsely. She lives a quiet life. She has a partner. A dog. She doesn't belong in this world. Jae-hyun stepped closer. Then you have a choice. She laughed once, sharp and broken. You say that like it's real. Mireille called that night. Evelyn recognized the number immediately, burner line, encrypted, impossible to trace. She answered anyway. Hello, Evelyn, Mireille said, her voice calm, almost kind. I hope you received my note. If you touched her. I didn't, Mireille interrupted. Yet. I'm not a monster. Evelyn closed her eyes. That's debatable. Mireille chuckled softly. You don't know how long I've waited to speak to you without him listening. Jae-hyun stiffened beside Evelyn. His eyes darkened, but he said nothing. What do you want? Evelyn asked. A demonstration, Mireille replied. Every person Jae-hyun lets close becomes leverage. Every weakness becomes a weapon. I'm simply proving the rule. You're threatening my daughter to punish him. No, Mireille corrected. I'm offering you an exit. The line crackled. Then Mireille continued, slower now. Leave him. Disappear. Go back to the States alone. I will erase every trace of you from his enemies' lists. Your daughter will live her life untouched. Safe. Unaware. And if I don't? There was a pause. Then this ends the way it always does, Mireille said. With blood. Not necessarily hers today. But someday. Because monsters don't stop being hunted, they just teach others how to aim. The call ended. Evelyn stood frozen, phone still pressed to her ear. Jae-hyun spoke softly. She's bluffing. Is she? Evelyn asked. Because everything she said makes sense. He didn't answer. They were on a private jet before dawn. Jae-hyun tried to argue. He tried logic, force, fear. None of it worked. I am not choosing you over her, Evelyn said as the plane lifted into the air. I'm choosing to look at my mistake in the face. Portland felt unreal. Green. Quiet. Clean. Like a world untouched by the violence that followed Evelyn everywhere else. They watched from across the street. Her daughter, Emma, came home from a long shift, scrubs visible beneath her coat. She laughed at something her girlfriend said, leaned in for a kiss, completely unaware of the war orbiting her life. She's happy, Jae-hyun said. Evelyn nodded. That was the point. Then Mireille walked into the building. Evelyn didn't think. She moved. The apartment door was already open. Inside, Emma sat on the couch, a mug of tea in her hands. Mireille sat across from her, elegant, composed, like an old friend. Emma looked up. "Oh," she said softly. Her eyes locked onto Evelyn's. "I was wondering when you'd show up." The room tilted. You know me?" Evelyn whispered. Emma stood slowly. "I've known about you for 2 years. I found the adoption records. Hired someone. I just didn't know how to reach out." Mireille smiled. "Surprise ruins people, doesn't it?" Jae-hyun stepped into the room, gun lowered but ready. Emma glanced at him, then back at Evelyn. "So this is him?" Evelyn swallowed. "Yes." "A monster?" Emma asked. "Yes," Evelyn said again. Then, quieter, "So am I." Emma nodded, absorbing it with terrifying calm. "Okay." Mireille stood. "You see? No illusions left. No lies. This is the cost of loving him." "I choose my mother," Emma said suddenly. Silence fell. Mireille's eyes narrowed. "You don't know what you're choosing." "I do," Emma replied. "I work in an ER. I know people aren't clean or simple. I know love doesn't come without consequences." She turned to Evelyn. "You don't get to disappear again." Tears streamed down Evelyn's face as she pulled Emma into her arms for the first time in 27 years. Mireille watched them, something unreadable crossing her face. "This changes nothing," she said. "The summit is still coming. The hunt doesn't stop." She walked out. That night, Emma insisted on staying. "I won't be protected from the dark by ignorance," she said. "If this is my family now, I face it." Evelyn didn't sleep. Neither did Jae-hyun. When morning came, Emma's room was empty. Her bed untouched. On the pillow sat a folded note. Evelyn's hand shook as she opened it. "Someone has to outthink the monsters." The scream that tore from her chest echoed through the apartment as the truth settled in. Emma was gone. The note lay on the bed like a wound that refused to close. "Someone has to outthink the monsters." Evelyn stared at the handwriting until the letters blurred. Her chest felt hollow, as if something essential had been carved out and taken away. "No," she whispered. Then louder. "No." Jae-hyun stood frozen near the door, the paper clenched in his fist now, his knuckles white. For the first time since she had met him, he looked lost. Not calculating. Not dangerous. Just afraid. "She wouldn't run without a reason," he said, more to himself than to Evelyn. "She wouldn't leave you like this." "She already did," Evelyn snapped, tears spilling over despite her effort to stay steady. "She's my daughter. I just found her. I don't even know how she drinks her coffee, and now she's gone." Jae-hyun met her eyes. "She didn't run from you. She ran toward something." "Toward what?" Evelyn demanded. "Control," he said quietly. "She thinks if she moves first, if she sacrifices herself, she can end this." Evelyn's legs gave out. She sat on the edge of the bed, burying her face in her hands. "This is my fault. If I hadn't come back into her life." "No," Jae-hyun said sharply. He crossed the room in 2 strides and knelt in front of her, forcing her to look at him. "This is on me. My world followed you. And now it's following her." Silence pressed in around them. Then Evelyn straightened. "No," she said again, but this time her voice was firm. "We're not doing this. We're not letting her play hero and disappear into your nightmares. Jae-hyun searched her face. What are you saying? I'm saying she's my daughter, Evelyn said. And I spent 27 years running. I'm done. His phone buzzed. Both of them froze. Jae-hyun looked at the screen. Unknown number. He answered without hesitation, putting it on speaker. You raised a smart girl, Han Miri's voice said calmly. Brave. Reckless. Just like both of you. Evelyn surged to her feet. Where is she? Safe. Miri replied. For now. You promised, Evelyn started. I promised you a choice, Miri cut in. Your daughter made hers. She came to me. Jae-hyun's jaw tightened. You lied again. Yes, Miri said without shame. Because truth only matters when people are ready to hear it. Evelyn's voice broke. Why her? Because she understands something you're still learning, Miri said. Monsters don't win by force. They win by anticipation. There was a pause. She's not your hostage, Miri continued. She's your counterweight. If you want her back, Jae-hyun, you don't bring guns. You don't bring soldiers. You come alone. Both of you. The call ended. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. Then Jae-hyun exhaled slowly. It's a trap. Evelyn nodded. I know. You could die. So could she, Evelyn said. And I won't survive that. Jae-hyun looked at her, really looked at her, and something shifted in his expression. Then we do this differently. How? He reached into his jacket and pulled out his phone again, typing fast. Miri expects me to come as a monster. So I won't. They arrived at the old waterfront warehouse just before dawn. Fog rolled in thick from the river, swallowing the edges of the building. No guards. No visible weapons. Exactly the kind of place where people disappeared. Evelyn's heart hammered with every step. You don't have to go inside, Jae-hyun said quietly. Yes, I do, she replied. She went inside for me. They entered together. Inside, the space was lit by a single row of overhead lights. In the center sat a chair. Emma was tied to it. Alive. Breathing. Eyes sharp, not afraid. Mom, she said, relief flashing across her face before she masked it. You came. Evelyn rushed forward but stopped when Miri stepped out of the shadows. Careful, Miri said mildly. One wrong move, and the lesson ends badly. Jae-hyun lifted his hands. You wanted us here. We're here. Miri studied him. No army. No weapons. Either you've grown stupid, or honest. Maybe both, he said. Miri smiled faintly. Untie her. One of her men hesitated. Miri glanced at him once. He obeyed immediately. Emma stood, rubbing her wrists. Evelyn pulled her into her arms, holding her like she might vanish again. I'm okay, Emma whispered. I planned this. I swear. Evelyn laughed through tears. You're grounded for life. Miri watched them, something unreadable flickering across her face. You see? Miri said. This is what you destroy, Jae-hyun. Love. Attachment. Futures. Jae-hyun nodded. I know. That's why I'm ending it. Miri tilted her head. Ending what? He took a breath. Me. The room went still. I'm stepping away, Jae-hyun continued. No territory. No control. I'm dissolving everything. Accounts, operations, alliances. I already started. Miri's smile faded. You're lying. I'm not, he said. That's why your people haven't answered your calls in the last hour. They're gone. Miri's eyes flicked briefly to her phone. She didn't check it. You think that makes you innocent? She asked softly. No, Jae-hyun said. It makes me finished. Silence stretched. Then Mireille laughed. Not sharp. Not cruel. Tired. You always did know how to ruin a game, she said. She looked at Evelyn, then at Emma. He's telling the truth. I can see it. What happens now? Evelyn asked. Mireille considered her. Now, you take your daughter and leave. You go somewhere quiet. Somewhere boring. And you? Jae-hyun asked. Mireille stepped back into the shadows. I disappear. Same as you. Maybe that's the only ending monsters get. She paused. Take care of her, she added to Evelyn. She's stronger than both of you. Then she was gone. The sunrise broke over the river as they drove away. Emma sat in the back seat, quiet now, watching the light spill across the water. So, she said finally. Are we free? Jae-hyun met Evelyn's eyes in the rear view mirror. As free as people like us get. Evelyn reached back, taking Emma's hand. We'll figure it out. Together. Emma squeezed her fingers. I'd like that. Weeks later, they stood on a small balcony overlooking a city that didn't know their names. No guards. No aliases. Just morning air and the sound of traffic below. Jae-hyun poured coffee. Evelyn leaned against the railing. Emma laughed at something on her phone. For the first time in years, the future didn't feel like a threat. It felt possible. Evelyn turned to Jae-hyun. So this is it? He nodded. End of the war. She smiled softly. Good. I was getting tired of surviving. He took her hand. Then let's try living. And for once, no one was watching from the shadows.